asked me if I recall where I was and what I was doing when I heard about the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And I certainly do, very realistically, because it was such a pronounced experience in my life. At that time, I was a student barely making it financially to get through my fourth year in college at Rutgers. And I had a meal ticket that lasted about a week. It was $5, and I ate at Winans Hall, which is no longer a mess hall, and on the Rutgers Queens campus. And on Sunday, I would go with my roommate to a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, not every Sunday, but mainly after we went to chapel. We'd go to this restaurant and have a meal together, and it was a very nice experience. Why did I go to the chapel? If I didn't want to go to chapel, I could simply say I'm Jewish. Now, if I said I'm Jewish, I felt that I had to feel like I wanted the time to use for the pursuit of the Jewish religion, but that wasn't my purpose. My purpose was I didn't want to go to chapel. But actually, when I went, so I just didn't get around to asking to be excused, and the dean, talked to the dean personally about it. So I simply went and found I enjoyed it. It was the chapel on Queens, the present chapel on Queens campus, and it was an atmosphere which I'd never experienced. It was very restful, and I loved to hear the organ play, and the sermons were sometimes interesting, sometimes boring, but I knew that afterwards I'd go with my roommate or friend to have a lunch in this Chinese restaurant where we could eat for the same price that it would have cost off my meal ticket to eat at Winans Hall. And this restaurant was located down on George Street, between Albany and Church on the east side. I just wonder if it's still there. It was up one flight, and the meals were inexpensive, and it was a treat to be served and so forth. Anyhow, while we were there, all of a sudden Joe Lerner comes along. Now Joe Lerner, he was not a bad guy, but he was full of hot air all the time. He was always talking, and you never knew how much of it was accurate, how much of it was pure baloney. And he said, "Did you hear that the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor?" And of course, we didn't hear anything about the number of ships that were sunk or put out of action permanently. We didn't hear anything much about the damage. Of no television, but the radio reporting was not all that great. And but I knew clearly we were going to be at war with Japan. And what would I do? Well, I was, as I told you, I was not too well off. And I was working in this seedy little restaurant on 5 days a week, and just barely making it. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just, it wasn't patriotism that drove me to enlist. I said, hey, I'll join the Army and I'll get credit. I'll get credit for finishing the term if I do what I have to in terms of exams or whatever they ask of me. And I'll save all the expense and sweat. And so off I went to war. I guess that's it for Pearl Harbor. Yeah.
Okay.